DevTools licensing, what they license. You can buy any of these products with the DevTools license. The Visual Studio family is licensed per user, so they say it's actually a device-based license, but they call it a user subscription license. You purchase the appropriate level of Visual Studio subscriptions for your users that will be participating in software development projects, so all your developers. You can purchase it in 3 ways. You can buy a license only, you can buy a license with software assurance, and that will give you access to an MSDN subscription. And you can buy subscription licenses only for Test Pro and Enterprise in the SCE, same as the license and software assurance model, but you don't get perpetual rights after the term. If you want to know feature differences for these products, you can find these on the Visual Studio website. With Visual Studio, users may install and use the software on any number of devices to design, develop, test, and demonstrate their programs. A user of Visual Studio can install the software on any number of devices that it deems necessary, but only to accommodate that user's dev and test needs. And it will grant you some additional benefits like Office Pro Plus 2019 or Microsoft 365 apps for enterprise production use if you have a Visual Studio Enterprise license. You get access to Azure DevOps use, both on-prem and cloud versions. You get a server and 1 CAL license per Visual Studio user and 1 basic and/or test cloud license in the Azure cloud. You have a monthly Azure credit, like $130 for Visual Studio Enterprise, $85 for MSDN platforms, and $45 for Visual Studio Test Pro and Visual Studio Pro. You have cloud use rights. Use of the software in the Microsoft Azure cloud, base VM charges apply. So you can spin up workloads in the Azure cloud and only need to pay the base compute charges. This benefit does not apply to other cloud services vendors like AWS, Alibaba, and Google. So it's just a benefit that you get in the Microsoft Azure cloud. You have free use of the System Center Virtual Machine Manager for creating and managing lab environments, and you can do load testing, so execute load tests with any number of virtual users, and those virtual users don't need any additional licenses. With Visual Studio subscriptions, you can renew your software assurance or subscription license to a lower edition. So if you have bought Enterprise in the past, you can renew it into a Pro license. And Azure services, the credits that you get, you cannot pool them between your developers. Your $130 is your $130, and you cannot add yours to someone else's. This is the entry as well for the product terms. Very broad, will not cover it here, but you will have this ready as your handout material should you be interested in this. Management servers. This is around System Center server management licenses, and it basically means that these are the licenses that you buy to manage your endpoints, so your client endpoints. The products that cover System Center client management licenses are similar to what is in the System Center suite for server licenses. It's Endpoint Configuration Manager, Endpoint Protection, Data Protection Manager, Operations Manager, Orchestrator, and Service Manager. And the entry for the product terms is listed on the screen. So you should focus here on the client management license entry in the middle of the screen. System Center client management licenses are licensed per OSE, operating server environment, so a device license, or per user. As with System Center server management licenses, software assurance is mandatory, and System Center client management licenses include the rights for the management server and include SQL Server technology. So for all management licenses, you have the right to switch to a current brand option, as such receiving updates on a semi-annual basis, like the SAC availability for Windows Server 2019, and Configuration Manager with Active Software Assurance provides limited access to Microsoft Intune for co-management of users' PCs. That's a bit of cloud focus there.